Well, this book isn't for everybody. Not everybody is interested in Elvis's spiritual life. And actually, I'm a Latter-day Saint. I come from Utah, so I'm a Latter-day Saint, which most people know us as the Mormons. Mitt Romney, he was the Mormon. And so one of the things I capture in this story that hasn't been captured in any other story is amongst all the religions and all the spiritual belief systems that Elvis really delved into and looked into seriously in so many ways, so many places, and so many different walks. One of the things he was very interested in was the Latter-day Saints, and I learned this as part of my journey. And because I'm a Latter-day Saint, that was really, really interesting to me, and it had such an impact on my personal life. And so, yeah, I just, I think that it's personally, all the people who knew Elvis, I never knew Elvis, but I met a lot of people who did, and but the people who've written books on him, they've all touched little pieces on his spiritual life. But I've really, really, really tried to, in a very sober way and a very meditative way, take what I learned over all my journey and try to understand Elvis and where he was at in a spiritual way, in his soul, at the time he passed away. And so I think I have a unique little perspective, and I just feel like there's been something there helping me to kind of put this story together. And if people are interested in knowing that aspect of him and maybe seeing how the things he learned through his life and some of the beliefs he had, how it resonates with them, it might be a great story for them to read. I think that, yeah, I've had a lot of people interested, and other people, just aren't into that part of life or in that part of him. But there's a lot of good information here, and I think the best part about it, one of the people who wrote on the back, the foreword is by one of the Osmond brothers, the 1970s Osmond family, Donnie Marie Osmond. Well, Merrill Osmond was the lead singer of the Osmond brothers in the 70s, and he did the foreword on here, and their family is a big part of the journey. And he said some really nice things he gave me a endorsement on the back. He said, Kara's story captures a truly sensitive journey while discovering the spiritual viewpoints of Elvis Aaron Presley. Elvis's walk with faith reveals the deep affections of his Southern soul toward God, toward spirituality, and in particular toward the Latter-day Saints. It is also a powerful essay on being a genuine disciple of Jesus Christ. It is a must-read for spiritual seekers and for Elvis fans alike. And then a tribute artist said, as an Elvis tribute artist for decades, I've examined numerous books attempting to study Elvis's life. If I had to choose one book for premier insight into his being, it would be this one. Full of direct quotes from Elvis himself, it's an inspiring account. So that's one of the things that happened to me when I did this story. I had a miraculous experience where in 1 minute, a huge amount of research that somebody had pieced together right after Elvis died and put in clippings in these books. A friend of mine obtained all of this at a garage sale, and I was telling him about this book about 7 years ago, and he couldn't believe it. He said, you've got to wait here, I have to show you something. And he brought this huge container full of all these clippings of research, and about 70% of that stuff that this person had gathered was about Elvis's spiritual life, and quotes, tons of quotes that he had said himself about his own life and his own spiritual journey, and some very insightful things about him. And I had it all in my hands in a minute. I could have taken 10 years to find that, and I had it in my hands in a few minutes. That's just an example of the things that happened to me while I was writing this story. So many things happened. So I do feel like there's been something behind the movement of this story, because it just keeps coming. And I don't know. I believe there are helps we get, and maybe he's been a part of this. So maybe I gave him a voice he never had when he was here.